Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a very, very special guest, Tom Rocks Maths, who needs absolutely no introduction at all, but if you want to say a couple of words to those that are watching.
Absolutely. Hello everyone. Great to be here. Thank you, Ellie, for inviting me. I have no idea what I'm here for, to be honest. There are coloured cards in front of us on the table and I've been promised an interesting chat with questions related to maths
Yes,
and things.
This was asked by Ryan.
It's an incredible question, Ryan.
Do you know, I have used that.
That is an admission. I do lots of maths content, so my channel is Tom Rocks Maths. I appear on Numberphile quite a bit. I think may have just hit 20 videos on Numberphile, which is crazy because I used to watch them when I was a student and now I'm doing it. Anyway,
So cool.
yeah, I do all things related to maths, and very recently was actually the Mathematician and Countdown, the staple of British culture game show on Channel 4. So yeah, anything to do with talking about maths. I teach maths at university and we're actually in Oxford right now,
yes.
having just recorded a video for my channel, which you should totally go watch.
Definitely.
Math speed dating between us two. So I teach at Oxford, also been teaching at Cambridge this year. But as I say, anything and everything maths, that is what I'm here for.
You're also just so cool. Like, yeah, so you are here for an interesting chat. Basically, I asked my subscribers and my Instagram followers, if you could ask a mathematician anything, what would you ask them? And I think I had like 300 questions on Instagram, which is...
Wow.
Yeah. So
that is
like,
that is insane. Okay, right, wow. Yeah.
But yeah, so I took inspiration from your math speed dating video, which if you haven't already watched, definitely go watch it. And the idea is I have a spinner on my phone.
Okay.
I was going to like create one, but I thought the logistics of bringing that to Oxford is a little bit tricky. So we have a spinner.
Ooh, okay, yeah.
And for those of you that, I don't know if you can see this, but it's basically a spinner with numbers between 1 and 20.
Yeah.
And then depending on what number you land on corresponds to a question. So this here is personal/general questions. And if you spin a prime number, you have to pick up
Love it.
one of those questions.
I was wondering how you would have separated them into categories. Okay, so
Yeah.
prime numbers means pink.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Prime numbers means pink.
Yep.
And personal. Yeah,
Questions, gotcha. Yep.
And then fun are multiples of 3.
Okay.
Classic. There was no correlation there, but
Okay.
1 is a special category. If you spin a 1, it's like Uno reverse, so you get to ask me a question.
Oh!
Question of your choosing.
Okay, all right.
And then the final category, which are the remaining numbers basically. But I wrote some like mathematical notation for what that would be in like a...
This is very good. I think you should show this. I'm going
to put a
Okay, right,
screenshot.
great, because
Yeah.
you need to appreciate this.
I was
It's
sat
a
there.
sequence. You have formed a sequence.
Yes,
Yeah.
And this category is this or that. So it'll be like 2 things and you have to choose between them.
I've always wanted to do my own math speed dating video, so this is ideal. I
Yeah.
get to basically do your version of it. Let's go?
Yeah,
So I just press the spin?
Yep, and it should.
And it's spinning. I'm trusting that this is indeed a random number generator and
Yes.
you've not fixed this.
No. It's on
Okay,
the ones.
17. So I
17.
think that's a prime number.
You think?
I was like saying it whilst my brain was catching up. I'm pretty
Okay.
sure 17 is a prime number.
Oh, good question. What would you have done if you didn't study maths and hadn't done maths as a career?
Okay, so if this is like an ideal world where I can do whatever I want, let's say, right, and I have control over that, I would be a professional football player.
Nice.
So I talked about this a lot when I did the Numberphile podcast with Brady. And it's sort of, he does these slightly more in-depth conversations with lots of us who are presenters on Numberphile to find out more about, I guess, our lives, careers, journeys as mathematicians. And I talked a lot. I didn't realize till afterwards. I talked a lot about like football being a key part. Like I played football since I was a kid, and like I played like for the university and like local teams, and had trials when I was much younger, and various things. And we got to the end, and it's just funny because he said to me, he was like, "Okay, a question for you, Tom, and it's gonna be really difficult. If I said to you, you had to give up all of your like mathematician and teaching at Oxford, Cambridge, and all your YouTube, give that up, and the alternative is to be a professional footballer. And I was like, before he even finished the question, I was like, professional footballer.
Yes,
He was like, I'm not going to discuss it. I'm like, I know you're going to ask me which. I'm like, obviously, I want to be a professional footballer. Like, I love maths. Maths is great, but like, to be a professional footballer, and then also the fact that you only do it for like 10 to 15 years.
Yeah.
And then as long as you're sensible, and if you are actually like Premier League level, you're set for life.
Yeah.
So then you just go and do everything else, right?
Yeah.
Then I become a professional mathematician.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. Would you want to be like a coach afterwards, or maths?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Like whether or not I would, you know, if it had been such a huge part of my life that I became a professional player, and then would you then miss it if it? Because I think that's what happens with a lot of them, right?
Yeah.
They're not becoming coaches because they need the money. It's because they can't. They feel lost without the game. So maybe I'd feel like that with maths. Maybe I'm saying this and I don't know, right? Maybe I'd be like, I need more maths and I wouldn't be able to do it.
Maybe you could like incorporate maths into the football. Like,
okay,
guys,
so
I've analysed all of the performances. This is what you need to do.
This is funny because I've actually been considering and have started, in fact, taking my coaching badges.
Oh wow, that's so cool.
Like as in the very basic, you just do it online, like started. But I did start because I think it would actually be really interesting to take my very limited amateur experience of football, but if that was combined with my mathematical brain, could that actually lead to another way of thinking about tactics and coaching? And probably not.
I don't know.
But
I think there's definitely something there though, because like you can get so much data from previous games and
it's definitely a much bigger thing now than it was, let's say, 10 years ago. It didn't exist 10 years ago. But that to me, so whilst it's now a big part of football and sport, I think more generally, it's still quite a new field. I feel like it's still an emerging field. So
wow,
so yeah, I'd be a professional footballer.
That is really cool. Yeah. As a side note, a guy that I used to work with, his whole PhD was on optimizing moves in football.
Amazing.
I feel like you need to meet this
Yeah.
guy.
I feel like I do. I feel like I do. You can be my assistant manager.
Yeah.
And I get my coaching badges. But again, I definitely feel like I'm at Las Vegas, like watching a roulette wheel. I think it's a 4. Oh, it tells me. Okay, good.
Yeah.
It's a 4.
Okay. Pen or pencil when doing mathematics?
Pen. I think.
How come?
I've never been a huge pencil person.
I get that. Yeah.
I've just, you know, like the whole thing at school when it's like, make sure you use pencil for diagrams. I just draw them in pen.
Did you? Wow.
Yeah.
You're reckless.
Rebel without a cause. What? I don't know. I'm sorry, everybody. I know this is it's a big thing to admit on a YouTube video. But yeah,
Wow, fair.
just get a pencil out.
It's because you just knew that it was going to be correct.
Well, no, I just cross it out if it wasn't.
Really? First, yeah.
I don't know. It's I see. I like the idea that you can erase, right, and things, but I don't know. I've just never.
Yeah.
It's the convenience. You have to sharpen it. You have to, you know, and you waste lead. Do you know how much lead you waste on a pencil?
Yeah, that's probably quite a lot.
One of my colleagues, Rob Eastaway, does a talk on this. It's one of his puzzles. So sorry, Rob, I'm giving away the answer to your puzzle. I don't know. I can't remember the exact answer, but it's like because you sharpen it and then you know, and so then much, a lot of it gets hidden and it breaks and things. You use like less than 1%.
Really?
Yeah, it's like the most wasteful use of like lead ever.
Wow.
Because of the sharpening and the breakage and things. It's like actually, and he goes through like a full, you know, he turns it into like a, what do you call it? A conical frustrum is like the name of the shape. And he works out, it's a really cool puzzle that he talks about. But I think it's literally less than 1%.
Wow.
That basis alone, I'm anti-pencil.
There's a funny story of a teacher that used to teach me, fantastic teacher. He asked his students to kind of write, I think it was just something to put on the display board. And one of the students wrote it in one of those pens that you can erase. And when he put it through the laminator, it erased the entire thing.
Oh dear.
So don't use those pens. This might be another this or that.
Apparently, you're claiming I have a biased dice, but this is just 19.
Yeah.
Prime number.
Oh, this is a good question. In the past, what discovery do you think you would have been most likely to make on your own? This was asked by Ryan.
It's an incredible question, Ryan. I don't think I would have made any of these discoveries because I am not smart enough.
I think
but, I mean, well, thank you. But, God, I can tell you what things I wish I'd been around to be working on. I think is maybe a more realistic way to answer that question, and also dodge it. But I think relatively recent, so like, I can't remember, possibly was the 70s, but people watching do double check this. I'm just thinking it was the 70s, and chaos theory.
Yeah.
So to me, that was such a revolution, like relatively super recent in the timeline of maths.
Yeah.
And it was just an entire paradigm shift.
Yeah.
In that realizing we can have a system where we know the equations, we know the initial data, and yet we cannot actually predict what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Is just really cool.
Yeah, I agree.
And so I think being around in that time, I like to think the way I think about maths and the way my brain works, that if I'd been a mathematician in the 70s and had got wind of this thing being talked about, I would have immediately jumped into it. I'd have been like, this is really cool, I want to go into this. So I'm not saying I would have made any of the major discoveries, but I think I would have just immediately wanted to go into that field.
It's almost a thing of like, it goes against intuition, right?
It's so counterintuitive. That's why it's fascinating to me.
I was just going to say fascinating,
6. I would have thought it said 5, but let's go 6 because we haven't had a fun one yet.
Yeah.
The spinner says 6.
Do you know, I'm going to accidentally get into the habit of forgetting that this is multiples of 3 and doing a this or that. Okay. Brian asked, what's your best maths joke?
Oh, Brian. Okay, I've got 2 for you.
Okay,
I've got a maths joke and I've got a terrible maths chat-up line.
Okay.
Which I think counts as a joke because it's not actually a real chat-up line.
Yeah, I'm keen to hear this, okay.
Okay, so I can give you 2. I can give you 2 maths chat-up lines now. Anyway, the maths joke. Okay, so this is amazing because it only makes sense if you've studied second year complex analysis.
Oh gosh, okay. I might not get it.
What is the integral around Western Europe?
I don't know. What is the integral around Western Europe?
It's 0 because all the poles are in the east.
Okay.
Do you get that one?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, you get that one, yes.
Okay.
I heard that when I was a first year undergrad at maths dinner.
Nice.
So it's the only place you're going to hear that joke, right?
Yeah.
Where like all of us as first years were like, we don't get it. And then the second years telling us the joke, we're like, you'll appreciate it in a year's time.
Yeah.
And we did. We all loved it in a year's
I
time.
love that. Okay, what's the pickup line?
Okay. So it was actually on a t-shirt. And the t-shirt said the words, you are, and then it said the square root of 1 plus tan squared of c.
Oh, okay.
And it's tan squared of c. So it says
Sexy.
C.
Yeah. Okay.
So obviously,
I have used that.
that is an admission. You have used that.
I haven't used it as like on somebody, but it.
Yeah, I'm just picturing you walking up to someone like at the bar, being like, "You remind me of the square root of 1 plus tan squared c."
No. Disclaimer: I've never done that. No, I've used it in terms of using the word sexy.
And then the other one I've got, which I completely stole from one of my colleagues and friends, Sammy. She did this as part of a talk I saw her give. She just, I don't know, she felt like the need to tell everyone a maths chat line in the intro to her talk, which I loved. And so it was, I'm sine squared, you're cos squared, together we can be 1.
Oh, that's really cute.
Which is really nice, actually. That one's like, it's riffing off of the sexy one.
Yeah.
But it's like not as... It's more wholesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like nice. Whereas like the sexy one, you're just like, oh, go away. Like, what is this? But like that one, you're like, oh, that's cute.
Yeah,
like,
that is cute. One of my favorite. Well, it's not my favorites, but I have had this in one of my comments before, and it was like, oh, so you like numbers? Do you want mine?
Very good. Yeah. It's simple, but it's effective.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't effective. But it was. I appreciate it.
I don't think in the history of the universe anybody has successfully flirted through YouTube comments.
No.
Right. So.
Yeah, I agree.
Just don't think it's possible. I think that is an unsolvable problem. Getting yourself a date by a YouTube comment. That's just.
It's a long. Yes. It's a big ask. I also, on the topic of jokes, I think it was like an Instagram reel that came up. So this is not my own joke, but it was something like, why do calculus students not host house parties?
Why do calculus students not host house parties? There's got to be something to do with like rate of change. No,
It's because they don't drink and derive.
Don't drink and derive. Yeah. I've heard drink and derive before. Yeah. Very good. Very good.
There we
Okay.
go. Comment your best math joke.
Yes, please do. And chat up lines. We want math jokes and chat up lines, people. 2, which is prime. I had to think about that way more than I did. We were both like, oh, is that...
Oh, okay. I think you asked this in the video that we filmed for your channel.
Right, well, you get revenge.
Yeah. What is your favourite field in mathematics? I think you asked this. Or maybe
Okay, what would be my favourite field? So obviously the easy answer is fluid mechanics because it's my PhD field, but I think something I'm getting into a lot recently through teaching the course would be quantum.
Nice.
So I've been teaching, so I taught the Cambridge quantum course for the first time this year, which was really fun because that's 24 lectures, whereas the Oxford one is only 16. So the Cambridge one's like a little bit more in it, which was really fun to learn and then, teach. And then I've been doing the Oxford course now for 7 years, teaching that. So I feel like I'm finally, I would never claim to understand it because, right, the classic Feynman quote, if someone tells you they understand quantum mechanics, they do not understand quantum mechanics. So I definitely don't think I understand it, but I now feel like having taught it for such a long time and, and had to explain it in so many different ways to various different students.
Yeah, I bet.
I feel like I'm really beginning to get into it.
That's so cool. Yeah.
So at the moment, really into quantum. I'm also hopefully, if I can find the time, going to create a lecture series based on the Oxford course,
Nice.
and then I'm going to offer it as an actual course that people can take through continuing education at Oxford.
Oh, I love that.
So people watching this video, at some point in hopefully the not too distant future, you could take a 10-week
That's so cool.
course doing quantum
anyone can do
theory.
it?
Anyone can do
wow.
it. So that's the bit that I need to figure out.
Okay.
Is how do I, because at the moment the course is a second year course in Oxford and Cambridge, and I want it to be accessible to people who've just done A-level high school maths.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
So I just need to figure out what do those first few intro weeks look like to get people up to speed, and then actually how do we then get on to talk about all the cool stuff.
Yeah, that is really cool. One of the biggest questions actually I got asked, and I get asked this a lot, is how you can like self-study mathematics. And I think that would be fantastic for someone who's interested in quantum, maybe have done their A-levels and are like, okay, cool. Yeah.
There is so much good content on YouTube.
Yeah. That's the first thing I say is like, there's like full lecture series on YouTube that you can watch. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, I think the only thing that's tricky about that is because it's self-study, it's easy to become demotivated.
Yeah.
Because you don't have that, like, there's a lecture at this time to go to. So sometimes you're like, you tell yourself you're going to watch it, but then, like, I've been there, right? And then you don't.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes, like, another bit of advice I give to people, if you're going to do that, is to try and find someone else to do it with, and then you kind of motivate each other.
Yeah. Like,
right? Because you're like, oh, did you watch lecture 3? And you're like, oh, no, I didn't. And then you'll go and do it that evening because your, like, study buddy has.
Yeah.
And you want to have questions about it or whatever. So that's another thing that could be helpful.
Just thinking, like, because YouTube is a fantastic place to, connect with people and stuff. So if anyone wants to have study buddies, maybe like connecting comments or something. And
100%. Yeah.
Study buddy, some quantum.
And you have to find your study buddy through terrible maths pickup lines.
Exactly. There we go. Perfect. 11. Oh, okay. Becky asked, where do you see your career progressing / what would you like to do in the future?
Ooh.
That's a very, it's a good question, that.
It is a good question. Where do I see my career? Okay, so there have been quite a few fun developments for me in the last 2 years. So I, almost 2 years ago, started the new role I now have where I'm the public engagement lead at the Department for Continuing Education. So my role there, sorry.
It's a mouthful.
It is.
Cool.
Yeah, it's quite entertaining because obviously it needs the words public engagement in because that's what I do. And it had to have the word lead in order for me to get the right scale on the salary scale.
Yeah.
Whole university admin systems. So anyway, so this position was created to make the most of my skill set. And that being that, it allows me to do things like make YouTube videos. It allows me to go and do talks at schools now around the world, which is insane.
So cool.
Go on TV, take 3 weeks off to go and film Countdown, for example, right? That was like work.
Yeah.
That was like my part of my job
cool.
now. So that's been awesome. And the development that's happening there is I'm kind of trying to help really build the profile of the department. Because I mean, you spotted it yourself then when you're saying people want to self-study. I think lots of people don't realise that at Oxford in particular, right, continuing education here, we have like 400 online courses that are open to anybody.
I'll put the link in the description.
Yeah, it's like, right, it's like, and it's like the coolest stuff, right? Like, and because these are like incredible, right? You can do like 10 weeks of learning about, I don't know, like the war strategy of the ancient Spartans and stuff. And you're being taught by, like, this is the thing, because it's Oxford, you're literally being taught by the world expert in that field, which is insane.
Cool. Yeah, that's so cool.
And they're really incredibly reasonably priced for like the level of contact you're getting. And so I think there's one of the main things that I'm trying to do in the role of the department is just to make more people aware of the fact that these things exist. So some of the courses you can get like formal qualifications, things called CATS points, which you can put towards an actual degree.
Oh, nice.
Whether it's like masters, undergrad, etc. There's a whole admin team that will help explain those things to you. But also, if you just want to do it, but would like, like we now offer digital badges for people that take the course, and it just like pops up on your LinkedIn to be like, like,
nice.
Ellie took a course in ancient like war history or whatever, right? And it's but it's great because like when it's clicked through, it sort of comes up to like the official Oxford University like certification thing.
That's sweet.
So
that's
like
really cool.
it's like a so it's sort of like the next step between watching YouTube videos and learning, but it kind of gives you that additional kind of like certification verification to really emphasize to like potential employers or your boss at work or whatever that like
well, this is the thing, because so many online courses are like, okay, you can do this but you won't get like a certificate, whereas if you get a certificate it looks more credible, I guess, and looks great on your LinkedIn, right?
Exactly. So it's so that's something I'm really excited about for like the next few years is really building that position.
That's really cool.
And then as I've briefly mentioned before as well, or at the beginning in the intro, I started teaching at Cambridge this year. This has been the first year, so that's going to carry on next year as well. So I'm very excited about getting more involved over there. And then, because I've already learned so much about how we teach things in Oxford and how they're taught in Cambridge. And I feel like it's made just me a better mathematician and teacher.
That's cool.
Being able to draw the best of both.
Yeah.
And
is it very different?
I don't think it's very different, but there are noticeable differences.
Interesting.
If that makes sense. So it's like big picture, it's the same.
Yeah.
Like it's hard, it's fast paced, it's very in depth, it's challenging.
Yeah.
But then there are like more subtle things. So like for example, in the quantum course, like the way it's presented in the Cambridge course is very, very different. So in the Oxford one, we're like, there are two streams of quantum. There's the calculus differential approach, which is basically Schrodinger, and there's the algebraic approach, which is basically Heisenberg. And we do 8 lectures on each.
Nice.
And then that's just kind of the course.
Yeah.
Whereas the Cambridge one, you kind of jump between them within a lecture.
Oh, really?
Depending on which approach works best for the particular question you're trying to answer.
Oh, that's interesting.
Which works really nicely as well.
That does really,
But that's what I mean. So it's like big picture, you learn the same stuff. But in Cambridge, it's all intertwined.
Yeah.
Whereas in Oxford, they're sort of seen as two separate things. And that's just how the course is presented.
That's interesting. Which do you prefer?
Oh, oh God. Okay. As someone who works in fluids, I have to prefer the differential calculus approach because that's kind of that's my bread and butter.
Yeah.
Whereas but I think the algebraic approach is more beautiful.
I get that.
Right, it's tapping more into like group theory and Lie algebras and stuff if you want to really go down into it. I really like them both. I really like them both.
That's really cool. Wow. Do you see yourself doing any more TV work, or? I
mean, I now have an agent.
Do you?
Which is so wild. Cool. Hi, Kate. So maybe.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So, I don't know if anyone else thinks this, but I think this often, where you say a sentence you never thought you would say in your life.
Yeah, and that's
I now have an agent.
Yeah. So
Not a
cool.
sentence I ever thought I
Yeah.
would say in my life, but apparently now I do.
Wow.
So yeah, we'll wait and see.
That's so
Obviously, it
cool.
was the whole countdown thing was obviously such a fun experience, and I really felt like YouTube prepared me for that.
Yeah, that's cool.
So I think the future of entertainment is obviously more like YouTube social media. That's just like TV is a dying medium. But I think whilst it still exists, it is very fun to be part of a huge, big budget, team of 40 people and like 20
Yeah.
cameras.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing.
Yeah.
It really is a whole thing. And the
Yeah.
energy and the atmosphere is brilliant. So I think whilst it's still possible to do that, I would love to. But I do feel like long term,
Yeah.
it's kind of obvious that there's been this huge shift in the
Yeah.
last 10,
Yeah.
15 years now
Yeah.
towards
Yeah,
like
it's-
shorter form, kind of more, I wouldn't say amateur content, but like
I know. Yeah,
not
I know
as,
exactly what you
because
mean.
some of the stuff on YouTube is as good quality, if not better than some of the
Yeah,
stuff on TV.
yeah,
Like
it's
it's
insane,
insane,
isn't it?
yeah. But it's kind of like, there's no need for a huge big production team and whole like,
Yeah, of course.
department around it. Fun!
Yeah. Fun. Let's go. Okay. Oh, okay. Someone called Tom. You sure you didn't send this one in?
I don't remember sending a question in, but I had a few pints yesterday.
Tom asked the coolest maths YouTuber / influencer you've met. You sure you didn't send this one in?
Yeah, I answer myself. Okay, no, okay. Ooh, that is a hard question.
Because I feel like everyone you've met is like so.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right? Yeah.
legit. Okay, like people that immediately come to mind. So Matt Parker, stand-up
Brilliant.
maths.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I just love that is just him. I will also stress there is nothing wrong with people who also have an act. I feel like you see this less on YouTube than you do on TV.
Yeah.
But I've had some interesting conversations with people who work in like media production, who have said that it's sometimes people who have a TV character and they're acting and they're performing.
Yeah.
Versus they themselves, like a different person.
Yeah.
And I think something you don't see, or at least nowhere near as often in YouTube and social media is like, it's just, you are that person.
Yeah.
And this is things people have said to me. They're like, oh, you literally are just you on YouTube. And I'm like, well, yes.
Yeah, that's what
But
you
like,
want to be, right? Yeah.
I don't know, there's something about like the authenticity of it. But again, I don't think I don't want to downplay people who are able to have a certain character, because I think that in itself is actually a harder skill
Oh, yeah.
to be able to
yeah.
act and perform in such a
Oh,
way.
absolutely, yeah.
But
Yeah.
all that said, I think, Matt is always very fun because that's what he's like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, he's really-
he is that funny and that nerdy and that, yeah.
Yeah.
So he's always good to hang out with.
I bet.
Who else? It was a lot of fun meeting Grant Sanderson.
Yeah,
So
I
3
bet.
Blue 1 Brown.
That's
So
pretty
so we met at a conference, and then Grant had previously studied abroad in Oxford for a term.
I did it. Nice. Yeah.
So we didn't overlap. I think he was doing it when I was doing my PhD.
Oh, nice. Okay.
But because of that, I was like, oh, well, I can totally like get some budget to bring to Oxford for a week, and we can like have you do a talk or two and various things, and like, and I think the appeal to him, because he's obviously a very in-demand person, and I think the appeal to him was because he had that previous link in Oxford, and so he was,
yeah, that's really nice.
really wanted to come back and
Yeah.
relive his kind of student days in a way
Gosh,
for like
yeah.
a week. So that was really nice that we were able to sort of put that together back in 2020, actually, just before COVID. That
Nice.
was a lot of fun,
Yeah, I bet.
definitely. And then, I guess just the recent one, like the whole countdown experience.
Yeah.
Just,
Yeah. Gosh. Wow.
spending a week on set with Stephen Fry.
Yeah. I mean.
Okay, I can tell you like ridiculous life highlight here. So we'd finished filming like the second or the third episode, I can't remember exactly. But once we finished, so then you sort of take the lift back up to the changing rooms because you change outfit and whatever.
Yeah.
And so I was in the lift with Stephen, and I think it was with Susie as well. But anyway, we're just having generic chat. But then Stephen spotted the QR code tattoo
Yeah,
on my
nice.
arm. And he was like,
Did he scan it?
yeah, that was it, right? So he was like, does that work? And then my brain was like, holy shit, Stephen Fry's going to scan your QR. And I was like, try it. So he literally gets his phone out and he scanned it and he was like, that is amazing.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
So yeah, having Stephen Fry scan my QR code tattoo,
so
which
cool.
then goes to my website,
Yeah, that's so cool.
was yeah, that was
Yeah.
a very cool moment.
Oh
That's
my
a very surreal
Yeah.
but
I'm not
really
sure I'd,
really
like,
cool moment.
I feel like I wouldn't be able to like keep myself. I'd be like so nervous around him because he's just so cool.
Yeah. No, he was, and again, he was exactly what you expect, which was
Nice.
yeah. It was just I feel like you can in a sense you have an idea because he does so much like TV presenting stuff where he just clearly is just a very curious, interesting, intelligent person.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he was like in real life, yeah. You think it's 18? 18.
Back to fun. Although we just did fun. So, straight back to fun. Okay, I wrote this one down because somebody asked this. Obviously, they didn't know that I was interviewing you.
Yeah.
And they said, which equation would you get tattooed and where?
So Navier-Stokes and here was my first maths one.
So I thought I would ask, what's your favourite tattoo that you have? And how many maths tattoos do you?
Okay, total tattoos is over 130.
Is it? Wow.
My whole body is tattooed.
Yeah, I know that, but for some reason I thought I feel like I remembered the 30 part, not the 130.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Well, I mean,
Wow.
if you count just this arm alone, there's probably like 20 odd.
Yeah.
Because like
Oh my
each
gosh,
little,
yeah.
so it adds up quickly because like my
Yeah.
whole body is tattooed. So favorite, maths ones. Let's say that one. So it's over 130. Maths ones I think is like 20-ish. This whole arm is basically equations. So we briefly looked at it before. I feel like this one is one of my favorites actually at the top with Maxwell's equations. So I did them in, so you've got the 4 Maxwell's equations in a vacuum here. And then they're done in such a way, and this was on purpose. So if you take the curl of these two, and then it says here, add these two. But basically once you take the curl, you've got the curl of a curl, which turns into something involving the divergence. So you curl those, use this to simplify them, and both of those equations turn into the wave equation.
Nice. That's pretty
So
cool.
like, I just love that whole idea that you start from Maxwell's equations, you apply like a couple of neat mathematical functions, and then you end up with the wave equation, aka you've just shown electricity and magnetism are waves.
Yeah.
Like
That's
it's just
so sweet, yeah.
So that's probably my favourite maths one at the moment. But it changes as I get asked what's my favourite tattoo and it changes on like a weekly basis.
Didn't you get one like 5 days ago or something? Or like
Yes. Oh, I posted
like-
one recently.
yeah.
No. So I'm very behind on the posting. I think the
fair.
posting only goes up to like 60 something, but I
Okay.
have over 130 now.
Wow.
So like
that's-
I'm kind of there's a backlog, and there's some that just haven't been photographed like yet properly and things.
Yeah, because I think I saw it on your YouTube, like
Yeah.
did a post, yeah.
Yeah. No, but I did get tattooed 2 weeks ago actually as well. So
Nice.
some of the maths ones there were new.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Okay, so prime.
It's a prime. This question came from YouTube specifically, and it says, "What challenges did you face on your journey as a mathematician, and how did you overcome them?" By Chaitrali 2940. I think. Apologies if I pronounced that incorrectly.
Okay, challenges I face in my journey as a mathematician. So one of the things that I found difficult was the transition from undergrad and masters, where there are correct answers, to research, where there are not correct answers. And so I think it was kind of then when I realised that one of the things I particularly enjoy about maths is that absolute certainty that you get. In that there is an answer to this integral or this differential equation or whatever it might be, and you're trying to work towards that. But then once you're doing research, I think it took me a while to overcome that mindset, because I guess philosophically there is a right answer, which is what you're trying to figure out.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's no way to verify what you've done is right or wrong.
Yeah.
You just have so you just have to have like a slight shift of being like, you will never have that certainty anymore. But what you can get is you can verify it. So I was doing experiments, you could be doing numerical simulations, theory, so you can, if all of those things give you the same stuff, it helps to support what you're doing is correct. If you're speaking to your colleagues, reading literature, and it seems to support what you're doing, again, it gives more strength to potentially what you're doing is correct. But I think that was actually quite a big, I don't think I quite realised it at the time, but now I can look back during the PhD process. I think that was one of the toughest things for me, because I went into my PhD having never done research. So I never did like, you mentioned you did like an extended essay dissertation thing in part 3. So that now exists in the Oxford version. We call it part C. Because we have part A, B, and C in Cambridge's 1, 2, 3. So we now, all of our students have to do that, and it's a quarter of the year, which I think is probably similar for part 3.
Similar,
but it was optional when I was a student.
Yeah, same with Cambridge,
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it just recently become compulsory, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Right, because I was like, I wanted to do it, but then I was like, I'm good at exams. So I wanted my first more, and also my PhD depended on me getting a first.
First.
That was like my PhD offer, so I was like, right, I'm gonna just pick. I know how to do this stuff. I do well in it. I'm just gonna do this, and not rock the boat in a sense. But yeah, so I think that was probably the biggest challenge I faced. Actually, was just that transition. It's big if you're not prepared for it, and I don't think I was.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think another question. I don't think I wrote it down, but it was somebody asking, like, how do you prepare? I think the person asking was doing a master's, and they're like, how do you prepare for a PhD? Like, they're wanting, like, what advice would you give? And I feel like that's probably a good lesson.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
And the other big thing about the PhD, I was okay with this, fortunately, but I see it a lot now in graduate students and friends and colleagues and things, is you're so much more independent as a PhD student.
Yeah.
Like,
you're
just suddenly, from before, it's like you have lectures, you have exams, you have things to work towards. And then for me, I remember like week 1, I met with my supervisor or whatever, and then he was like suggested various things I should read, and I was like, great. And then he was like, oh, maybe put together like a literature review for me. I was like, okay, perfect. And I was like, when do you want it for? Because, I'm just like, give me a deadline. And he's like, oh, well, it takes however long it takes.
Oh wow, yeah.
I was okay with that, but it was just it's just a shift, and I think again I see that can that like you have to have your own discipline, your own motivation, your own structure.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Because otherwise, that can suddenly take 6 months.
Yeah. I have a really good friend he's doing a PhD in biochemistry at Glasgow. And he was saying one of the things that he almost wished he'd done was work like a 9 to 5 before going and doing his PhD, so he knew what that structure felt like. Because he was just burning himself into the ground, like working all the time. And he was like, I wish I'd... Because now he's settled into the routine. It's a lot more manageable.
Yeah.
But yeah. There we have it. Good piece of advice. 15. Fun. What's the best maths meme you've seen? If
Okay, so this is not because it's the best maths meme I've seen, but this is the only possible way to answer this question.
Okay.
So we're filming this on Sunday. So Friday night, I get a message from one of my really good friends, and it's a meme. Nice. I am on the meme.
Are you? Can I see this meme?
Yeah. I will show you. You can put this meme on screen. It's great. Okay. So he sends me this meme, and obviously I just immediately think like, oh, hilarious. He's made me into a meme.
Yeah.
Turns out it was on Science Memes Reddit and had like 4,000 upvotes.
Oh my god!
And I was like, no way! I've literally reached the point in my life where I've been turned into a meme.
That's so
like
cool.
I am now officially a meme. I think that means I'm a meme, right? If I'm on Science Memes upvoted on Reddit.
Yeah.
Like, but yeah, so it's definitely not my favourite meme. But I mean, I feel like it's the only way to answer that question. Is now apparently I am a meme.
Obviously, yeah. Oh my gosh! Wow. Okay, one last one. Let's see if you get a 1. And do the Uno reverse, but it was all.
We were close actually. It was close, but 19. It's a 19.
Okay. Personal general. Let's see what this is. Ahmed asked, "What's the most beautiful thing about mathematics?" Which I think
Okay.
that's a really nice one to end on.
So 2 things immediately come to mind. One thing is the I think they kind of link together, actually. So for me, it's like the reason I enjoy this subject so much and get so excited doing maths, talking about maths, is the unexpected connections that you find between all of these different things.
Yeah.
Right? So there's just something incredible about that, where, like I was talking about quantum theory, and then like, I wouldn't know, actually, that's not even an unexpected connection. Okay, even better. Okay, so that's one thing. But actually, something else that I think is really beautiful, and I think maybe is a less commonly used answer, is, for me, so something is true through like life experience or through being taught it at school or whatever, but you don't know why.
Yep.
And then eventually you know enough maths that you go through it all,
Yeah.
and then the answer comes out and you're like, oh, that's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, so for me, the reason this came to mind, because I mentioned the quantum theory thing. So it's like the Bohr radius, really cool thing. And it's like, and it has a value. And obviously it appears to be completely random value of like, I don't know, something times 10 to the minus something, like 17 or something crazy, right? Small value. And it's to measure a distance. And then for me, I'm like, okay, so cool. So this has been like measured experimentally, whatever. And then in the quantum course, we build up, in the Oxford one, you build up this big finale where you write down Schrodinger's equation, you put in the full potential for a hydrogen atom. So you've got your kind of like single charge particle, blah, 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 all these forces. And then you solve the full Schrodinger equation with the spherical polar Laplacian. And it's like, it's a lot mathematically. It's like 2 hours of lectures to get through and crunch through and get this final function out. And then you take your final wave function and then you work out its expected value. So what you're doing is you're working out the expected distance from the center. And the answer is the Bohr radius.
Oh, wow.
Right? And it's like, and you're like,
cool.
that's where it comes from.
Yeah, that's so
Like, to
sweet.
me, it's like, there's something about, and I think it speaks so much about like why I'm a mathematician, is that like, I knew it was true and I believed it, but until I'd gone through the like 4 hours of computation, and then it just pops out beautifully at the end.
You're like, yes.
That to me is the beauty of mathematics.
Yeah.
Like, I knew it was true anyway, and I didn't doubt it.
Yeah.
But having seen that,
Yeah.
it just, that to me captures why I love it, captures the beauty of the subject.
Yeah. I love that. What great. That's such a good answer. Yeah. I've recently been planning a video on like maths in nature. Maths really is everywhere, and I think that's what I love so much. Like, it can be applied to so many different things. And the more I've learned about it in nature, I'm just like, wow.
Well, that was going to be my first initial answer, was that to me the beauty in maths is you can apply it to anything. It's like the versatility of it as a subject.
Yeah.
As you say, you apply it to nature, you apply it to sport, you apply
Music.
it to... And you learn something by looking at it through a mathematical lens. And I see that as like a form of beauty.
Yes.
That you can do that with it.
Yeah. What a great way to end the video.
Yeah, well.
Amazing. Thank you everyone for watching this video. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, definitely go check out Tom's videos. They are honestly great. And check out his videos on Numberphile as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.